XRP Price 2021.
Let's get into it.
Alright guys, today we are going to be taking another cheeky look at XRP. You know, we're big fans of Ripple and the work that they've been doing for the wider crypto space. But, you know, we have a special place, Chris, for XRP. It was my biggest bag for a very, very long time. And, you know, I haven't actually sold any. It's just not been growing as much as I would like it to. But that being said, we are going to, in this video, get into hopefully quite a bit of detail on various different things as to why we are so bullish on XRP. After all, we've always backed XRP and we haven't shied away from it. Almost we were right, Chris, would you say?
Yeah, unlike most people that have been going, you know, I was wrong about Ripple and XRP. We were right. You know, it has to be said, Nick.
We were right, absolutely. So anyway, none of that ego stroking and whatnot. We're going to get into...
Oh, come on.
We're going to get into, Chris, we're going to get into everything about Bank of England, their plans, their roadmaps. We're going to have a look at you know, what's going on there. We'll have a look at the SEC lawsuit, briefly touch on that, get into the charts, do some price analysis on the short term, and then talk more about that longer term piece as to where things are likely to go, at least in our opinion, during 2021. XRP, I believe, has huge potential long term, above and beyond just 2021, but there will be significant gains during the bull run of 2021 with plenty of opportunities to reap those rewards. But also, it's important, guys, not to forget the opportunities also on the flip end of this, where you'll be in accumulation phases again. And sometimes, you know, the euphoria of a bull run can sometimes be, you know, so much that we forget actually it could be just as fun to accumulate these cryptocurrencies during the bear market in preparation, because half of the battle is being prepared. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into all of that kind of good stuff. If you find it useful, informative, hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, you know, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto, all those various different cryptocurrencies, new cryptocurrencies, hidden gems, all that technical analysis, then do consider subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free and you'll stay well informed. So, you know, why not? Right, and with all of that done, dusted, and out of the way, Chris, let's jump on down and get into exactly what is going on here with XRP, where we think this thing is going to go during 2021.
You know what, Nick? It's like going back in time. I remember when we used to do these regular.
Absolutely. Right, let's do it. Right, so just a brief recap before we get started. XRP at the moment, at the point of recording this video, is $1.31, slightly down at 3.7%, has a market cap of 59.3 billion, and of course there's 45.4 billion in circulating supply. 100 billion is your maximum. Total supply out there at the moment is, or available, is 99.99 billion. And I think there was an article, Chris, a couple of days ago where, you know, the CEO wouldn't rule out potentially burning the escrow. So I'll leave that with your thoughts. But let's, Chris, get straight into the Bank of England. This is one of your favorite kind of pet projects, isn't it, to kind of dig deep and into all these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And we've had recently some fantastic news.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, like, I have to say, like, XRP has got a special place in my heart, because if it wasn't for Ripple and XRP, I wouldn't have got back into crypto. So, you know, for me, I do think that they're doing some wonderful things, you know, regardless of what people think about, you know, centralized and decentralized. Ultimately, that's not really an issue for me either way. You know, hate on me all you like. But yeah, Bank of England obviously put out a statement around central bank digital currency. They've set up a task force, Nick. Do you want to cover that bit off?
Yeah, real quickly and briefly, I'll talk as fast as I can. It's quite a brief article here, but basically the Bank of England and the HM Treasury have basically announced a joint creation of a central digital bank, or a CBDC, basically a central bank digital currency task force to coordinate the exploration of a potential UK CBDC. A CBDC would be a new form of digital money issued by the Bank of England. Okay, and this is going to be coordinating the exploration of objectives, use cases, opportunities, and risks within the potential UK CBDC. The guide evaluates evaluation of the design of future CBDCs must display to achieve the goals, that support rigorous and coherent and comprehensive assessments, and monitor those international CBDC developments as well. So lots going on in this space. I'm not going to get into all of this, but I'm going to try to link all of these down into the description as we get through these things. So if you want to dig into them in more detail, you absolutely can. But obviously on the back of this, Chris, there is the PDF. This one will also be linked into the description down below. This is a PDF, which is a 57-page document from the Bank of England, talking about the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, the opportunities, challenges, and the designs. This was actually, came out in March of 2020, and obviously it was April 2021 when we saw the task force get issued there. So, not the fastest movers in the world, these banks, but if you want a good read, I'll link this down in the description as well. But Chris, do you want to talk a little bit around the roadmap?
Yeah, before I do, one thing I will add is like, we always knew that there was going to be this task force. We always knew that there was going to be a regulatory sandbox and all this sort of wonderful stuff that people have been sort of banding around. And it has kind of been, I guess, a little bit of speculation, wishful thinking, depending on which side you kind of sit, with the tribalism and all that sort of jazz. But when we look at the roadmap, obviously you got procurement from 2019. So they've been looking at this, and this is the point I want to make. They've been looking into crypto and central bank digital currencies for years. So this stuff for me is sort of already been sort of set out, and the fact that we're seeing the task force kind of, in my mind, puts me back to a time where I was looking at all this stuff, early 2020, and when I stumbled across these project roadmaps, and it indicates to me that we're still on sort of track for that. So I don't want to sort of break this down into too much detail, but the 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗪𝗓22, they're involved in this as well, and you can see this from the roadmap here, with the messaging systems and all that sort of stuff. And basically come 2025, this is all going to sort of be in place. And some of these PDFs that Nick's going to link in the description and stuff that I've looked at, historically, we lost about 30 hours worth of content where I was like, joining dots and stuff like this. And this is what really got me back into crypto. So, we probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ripple. So, for me, it has got sort of a special place in my heart, because I've made an awful lot of money in this this bull run so far. So, but they go into a lot of detail in these PDFs, around the scope, around debit payment increases, across the population, particularly in the UK, and the reduction in cash payments. And obviously, these were published way before sort of the virus and everything like that. So you get this downward graph, for cash payments and more digital payments going in sort of the upward sort of trajectory. So for me, like this is huge, and this is partly why we've always been really bullish on XRP and what Ripple do. But I kind of feel like, whether it doesn't, to me, it doesn't really bother me which side of the fence that you sit on. But we don't sort of sit here with tinfoil hats on. Like everything, we look into everything in quite a lot of detail, but we try not to sort of sit on the side of speculation. We try to sort of do everything around the factual stuff. But the Bank of England chose Accenture, and I know you've got a document, Nick.
Yeah.
To do their, I guess, the implementation of stuff for the CBDCs for the UK, right? So, and we actually called that before they actually announced it. We kind of said, look, we know it's going to be Accenture, because they're all interconnected, and we already know that banks, and one of those banks is the Bank of England, have been in contact with Ripple around how to put these CBDC on the actual XRPL. So we've known that this is all happening. We've seen the documentation. It's not like it's even hidden. It's like hidden in plain sight, Nick. You can just go on the Bank of England's website and you can see all of this stuff. yourselves. So I think, you don't even have to really dig deep. And, we've looked at, international, other international banks as well. And they've got this roadmap alongside other roadmaps for other banks, including like Deutsche Bank and stuff like that. So, it isn't just the Bank of England. So we've seen all this stuff. We've looked at all the paperwork. And this was one of the reasons why, when everybody was fearful about the case with the SEC, we really weren't, and we kind of just felt that it was FUD, and we felt passionately that Ripple would sort of get through this, regardless of whether they win or they lose in America. We've seen all the project plans for these banks everywhere else in the world, so it kind of fills you with confidence, right? So it's great to see all this stuff recently in the news. I kind of feel like it means that everything that we've seen historically, plans haven't really changed. They may have been delayed, but I don't think they've been changed in any way. And the level of detail that they've looked into this is just quite remarkable. And obviously, you've got other sort of major digital information service companies or providers that have also got involved and done various different PDFs. This is kind of my bag. I know I don't really talk a lot on the show, and I get called out for that quite a lot. But I do know my stuff, and I do an awful lot of reading. So maybe that gives you a bit of an idea of what value I do add to this channel.
I was going to say, I'm going to be getting a lot of heat in this video for not participating.
Yeah, you barely talked, Nick. But no, like honestly, for me, this is what makes us so bullish on XRP, and it does frustrate me a little bit, Nick. Particularly some of the bigger channels, and I don't care what they say off the back of it. If they say anything at all, they probably won't. But what does frustrate me is it's more for clicks that they're apologizing and stuff like that, in my humble opinion, rather than actually sort of being bullish on the project. We are and have always been bullish on XRP. We think they'll win the SEC law sort of legal case, and if they don't, I think it'll be settled. And either way, for me, is a big win. And we already know what's going to kind of happen based on the King token stuff that happened with the SEC, even though they lost. So it's probably about that time, Nick, to sort of get into everything that people have really come joined us for this video.
Let's talk about XRP price for 2021, right?
I'll go back to normal.
You go back to normal. You just sit there, yeah. Right. So when it comes to price, guys, obviously, as Chris just was talking about there, the Kick Interactive case kind of gave us a bit of an overview as to what is potentially going to happen. At the end of that lawsuit, right? Ultimately, in the Kick case, they basically, kind of had a loss. Ultimately, they settled, I believe. But basically, the Kin token was classed as a security. They had to pay a fine. It was like the worst case scenario, right? And it still went up by 1,000% in 7 days, followed by the next 68 days was then 2,000%, followed by a 4,000% gain in the course of the next 130 something days. So ultimately, it just kept on rising even after it was found out to be a security, and they were selling those illegal securities, if you will. Obviously, I don't think that's going to be the case here with XRP. I don't think the SEC are trying to win this case. If they are, they really ought to just go back to school and actually learn how to win, because at the moment it's quite embarrassing to watch.
It's more than embarrassing, Nick. Like, yeah. Honestly, like if you're in that profession, and I just dread to think if I showed up to my other job, because this is, this YouTube stuff's just part-time for me. But if I turned up to work and, I was performing that poorly, I'm pretty sure I'd be doing this full time.
Exactly. So yeah, they don't appear to be wanting to win. So I think ultimately, yeah, Chris is probably right. It'll probably end with a settlement, because that's kind of a win then for the SEC by saving face, even though I don't think they'd win in court. But nonetheless, let's get into the price action. So here on this particular chart, this is XRP to the Tether, USDT, daily chart, Binance is a data source. This is a Fibonacci retracement that does run from our low level of the 4th of April through to that high point up here at the 14th of April, a 10-day run, 249% in gains, and a healthy correction down to that 50% retracement zone. Pretty standard, nothing really to kind of worry about here. That's a standard retracement. We still technically come down to this one here, which is also possible. Those wicks kind of proceeded to go down there, didn't actually reach it, but nonetheless it was okay. The 618 is obviously another key area that we watch out for, and that's going to be an area probably of resistance as we try to get up into the 702, right? So the 702 being up there, fantastic. If you want to know more about the 702, check out 𝗕𝗃𝗪𝗏. He does some fantastic XRP charting. So yeah, I think ultimately, yeah, fantastic stuff going on here. Standard correction doesn't bother me. We're coming down quite nicely in the volumes. That's correcting this relative strength index. That's RSI's getting actually quite nice and low here. And 47.2 is the area that we're looking to try to get down to, because we get good bounces from here with XRP. So we're looking to come down to about 47.2 on that relative strength index. From there, I think we're going to get another leg up. So correction looks like it's potentially going to come to an end very soon. I'm not going to go down into the lower levels. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you what the top of these extensions are looking like, right? So the very first price target here for XRP is the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level just on this short-term target, and that's a $2.84. Then the next one, the 2.618 Fibonacci extension, is $4.25, and if we go up to that 3.618, that's $5.66, and then the 4.236 area, that's a $6.53. Now, those extension areas, they're absolutely short-term targets, because they are being represented on only since the data in this Fibonacci from the 4th of April to the 14th of April. Okay, so that's what's basically predicting out that. And it gets super interesting, guys, when you actually start to drill back to where the history goes, because once you start looking at the history, what happened in the last bull run, and where things are more than likely to go to end up, then you start to get some pretty juicy price targets for XRP. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a Fibonacci retracement tool. We're just going to go grab that and push it over here, right? What we're going to do is we're going to grab that low point. The low point that we're going to use is going to have to be this one down here, which is, I think it's the March crash, Chris, which was the lowest low. So we're going to take that. I'm just going to zoom in to make sure that is exactly where I think it is, which it is. It's the 13th of March to be exact there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is there's a couple of key things on this chart that ultimately we want to pay attention to. So the first one over here is this yellow line. I'll just move that to one side for a second. So we have this yellow line. This actually is the area where we came up to on our correction. That was the area that we went back up to before we actually went down into that bear market completely, before a retest up here. And I'm excluding this one. This one here was the pump and dump from the 1st of February. So that one doesn't count so much. But these two are the key ones that we want to be paying attention to. That is the area that we actually went up to, tested on, and fell back from. Okay, so these are the areas that we have this yellow line pasted on, and that's where we want to paste our Fibonacci retracement tool. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to put the red line, okay, this one down here, on top of this yellow line, and that basically tells us, okay, well, that's the barrier of that 236 area, right? So that's the area that we want to put that low level on, and from there, that's going to then give us some interesting areas. So I have to just pull this down a little bit whilst we get this set up. So I'm just going to drop that down onto that yellow line and then just pull this back up here. So now we have our bottom line of our Fibonacci actually settling in on this area just here and over here. Okay, and that basically then forms our next set of extension levels. Okay, so this actually, if we just shoot on up here, we actually go to that first price target. The first price target in this case actually represents a $4.87 XRP coin. And that's pretty juicy, because that particular value was, I think, the 2.618 rather than the 1.618. Okay, so much, much lower down. And then obviously the second price target for that particular scenario comes in here at $7.83. Okay, that $7.83 is much higher than even the high of the short-term target at $6.50. So straight away, you're starting to see some pretty juicy numbers appear here. And then obviously the 3.618 area, this is actually a $10.79 area. And that price target is then superseded by the top. This is the 4.236 area at $12.62. Okay, but of course you can go one level higher than all of that. Okay, because if we were to actually take this this Fibonacci and place it to a different area altogether, and we just take it to the previous all-time high. So if our starting position was the all-time high and our end position is still that low down here, that again sets us some pretty new and fresh targets. That first target is actually $6.15. Second target here is $9.90. The third price target is $13.65. And then at the top there is $15.97. Now, again, you guys might be thinking all these are incredibly low targets. Well, you can go a little bit bigger than that. And that is actually to take your red area down here in the absolute like top end of where this thing might go, and actually paste it on top of the previous all-time high of $3.84. And when you do that, that's when you get those crazy numbers start appearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this back down, and we're going to do is we can see the $3.84. I'm going to grab hold of the Fibonacci retracement tool, and we're going to take that red line, and we're going to put the red line just on this yellow line just here. Just shoot that down a little bit there. We'll get that on just about there. Okay, so now we have basically the bottom area of our Fibonacci actually being the previous all-time high. And when that happens, that actually then predicts out some pretty crazy predictions. Okay, that puts the first price target up at 25.90 cents. Okay, and then the second price target is $41.85, followed by the third price target of $57.80, and then at the top there, $67.65. So I think that's absolutely the pure maximum that if everything went perfectly well, where things potentially might go, would be up towards that $67. Now, I myself feel that this is one that is in a very extreme end of things. I don't think necessarily that's a very realistic way to go, and the data at the moment isn't really supporting that. You have to do a lot of manipulation to get there. But I do think that actually we could see some things, actually heating up towards, at least $15 or so, which would be a little bit higher than this particular line here. I think it's so take it from the previous all-time high to the low point, the standard way you would use a Fibonacci retracement. That gets us into these areas here. Now, this area is where we've been talking a lot, Chris, around price targets. That comes in quite comfortably around $13.64. This particular third price target, this is the one that I'm really focusing in on personally. And obviously they do have that extension level here at $16. But of course, you can do some pretty crazy things if it goes above and beyond that. Talking about all of the things that Chris was talking about earlier in this video, all of those roadmaps, all of that kind of good stuff. I still think that's a little bit further out. I don't think that's 2021. In terms of price action, but those things are coming in the future, and that will have a serious impact on the XRP price. For now, I'm focusing really on that $13.50, but I do think there are true possibilities here to go after that $30, even maybe that top end of 60 under the right circumstances. But Chris, what do you think about all of those various different numbers that I've been shouting out on the screen?
Yeah, no, I think they're aligned to my way of thinking. For me, 2023 is going to be an interesting sort of period of time, and in particular 2025. And we've talked about this for months upon months on the show around the importance of 2025 and 2030. You will have mainstream adoption by 2025, in my opinion, based on all the roadmaps across several international central banks that we've looked through, plus all of the PDFs from, like I say, some of these really well-known huge corporations that sort of deal with all the heavy data and analysis and stuff like that. And then 2030 is going to kind of be your mature market, once everybody's sort of fully integrated, comfortable with blockchain. And if you're running a small business, my opinion is you should definitely be looking at blockchain now. Otherwise you're likely to just get left behind.
Yeah, I do align to that. I mean, digital transformation is at the forefront of most businesses now, and if you're not even thinking about that, chances are you're going to be significantly behind and potentially not doing so well in the future. So definitely something you probably want to be paying attention to and doing some research on for sure. And guys, hopefully you found this video useful and informative. We know we covered quite a bit here, all talking all around, Accenture, Bank of England, roadmaps, PDFs, and all that kind of good stuff, getting into a little on that lawsuit, and of course going through some of those juicy price targets at the end here. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, hit that like button. We both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all those hidden gems, new cryptocurrencies, technical analysis and news that we cover here at Cheeky Crypto, then do consider subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with, well, all of it. And of course, it is free and you'll be kept well informed. So why not? And Chris, is there anything else you'd like to add before we wish everyone a fantastic day?
Yeah, just let me know what you think the XRP price is going to go to, short, medium, and long term. Really interested to know.
Fantastic. Right. We hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Take care, everyone.